He kicked her out in front of the whole family, calling her worthless. But just minutes later, they all found out she owned the entire house. Emily Carter had always been the kind of woman who stayed in the background. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't loud. But she was smart. Exceptionally smart. At 28, she was already a senior consultant at a tech firm in Atlanta, known for her quiet work ethic and calm demeanor. She didn't post about her life on social media. She didn't chase attention. Instead, she quietly built a life brick by brick, step by step, on her own terms. That's why when she met Jason Matthews, no one expected her to fall for him. Jason was everything Emily wasn't: loud, charismatic, always surrounded by people. He was charming, funny, the center of attention wherever he went. He worked as a fitness instructor and part-time social media influencer. He had the looks, the talk, the followers. But beneath all the sparkle, there was something darker, something only Emily would come to see too late. When Jason swept Emily off her feet, people told her she was lucky. He was the type of man who made grand gestures, flowers at work, spontaneous weekend trips, love notes on her coffee cup. Within 6 months, they were married. The wedding was beautiful, held in a vineyard, full of laughter, lights, and Jason's perfect image. But behind the scenes, things were different. The moment they were back from the honeymoon, Jason began changing. He started making little comments. "Are you really going to wear that? You work too much. Are you trying to be the man in the relationship? My mom thinks you're cold." "I kind of agree." It was like he was slowly trying to make her question herself. Emily, raised to be patient and understanding, told herself it was just growing pains. Marriage is hard, she thought. He'll settle down. He didn't. Jason's family was no better. His mother, Deborah, a proud Southern matriarch, had never approved of Emily. She hated that Emily made more money than Jason. She hated that Emily didn't want kids right away. She hated that Emily didn't come from their kind of people. Deborah constantly reminded her, in little whispers and offhand remarks, that she would never truly belong to their family. Jason's sister, Amanda, followed her mother's lead, mocking Emily behind her back, calling her the Ice Queen. Despite all this, Emily kept quiet. But what no one knew, not Jason, not his family, was that Emily had secrets of her own. Long before she met Jason, she had bought the house they lived in now. Paid for in full from her first tech startup sale. She had never bothered to bring it up. She didn't feel the need to flaunt it. The deed was in her name. The mortgage didn't exist. But Jason? Jason always thought he was the man of the house. And Emily? She let him believe it. Until one day, everything boiled over. It started with something trivial. A Sunday barbecue. Jason's friends were over, his family gathered in the backyard, and Emily had forgotten to buy Jason's favorite beer. That's all it took. He exploded. In front of everyone. "You can't do anything right," he yelled. "Why are you even here? Just get out of my house." Emily stood still, her face pale but unreadable. Jason's mother smirked. His sister laughed. A few of Jason's friends shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. And in that moment, surrounded by people who never truly saw her, Emily made a decision that would turn all their lives upside down. Emily didn't move. The backyard had gone awkwardly silent, yet the humiliation still echoed through the air like a siren. Jason stood with his chest puffed, eyes blazing, acting like a hero in his own twisted story. He had just kicked his wife out of her own home, in front of everyone. And he was proud of it. "You heard me, Emily," Jason said again, louder this time, for the benefit of the guests who hadn't caught every word. "You forgot one stupid thing and you think you deserve to stay? You're nothing but a parasite in this house." Deborah, Jason's mother, stepped in with a glass of sweet tea in hand, watching Emily like a queen scolding a servant. "You know, I told Jason from day one, marrying a woman like you would only bring stress. Always quiet, always distant. It's no wonder you can't keep a husband happy." Emily looked at her mother-in-law without blinking. Her fists were clenched so tightly, her knuckles turned white. but she said nothing. Her silence, as always, was mistaken for weakness. She doesn't cook, she doesn't host properly, she doesn't even smile. Amanda chimed in from the porch, wine glass in hand. You should have married Lauren when you had the chance. She smirked at her brother. Jason turned back to Emily with a smirk that cut deeper than any insult. Seriously, what are you even good at? It wasn't just the family anymore. Friends were watching too. Neighbors. Colleagues. All invited to a summer barbecue, now witnessing a live public breakdown of a marriage. Some looked uncomfortable. Others enjoyed the drama. Jason took it further. He walked into the house and returned with a small duffel bag, Emily's emergency overnight bag she kept in the closet for business trips. He tossed it at her feet with theatrical flair. There. That's all you ever need, right? Your laptop, your clothes, and your cold attitude. Don't worry, I'll make sure the locks are changed by tomorrow. A few guests gasped. One even tried to step in, but Deborah waved her hand, silencing them. It's a private matter, she said coldly. Emily slowly bent down and picked up the bag. Her hands were trembling, but her face was unreadable. She turned toward Jason one last time and asked, Are you sure you want me to leave? Jason laughed. Emily, please. You're lucky I didn't do this months ago. That's when the shift happened. Something in Emily's eyes changed, like a storm finally forming after years of holding back rain. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Jason scoffed. Oh great, she's calling her lawyer. What's he gonna do? Sue me for emotional damage? But Emily wasn't calling a lawyer. She was calling someone who knew exactly what was coming. Hi, yes, she said into the phone calmly. It's time. Send the car. And bring the documents. She hung up and turned back to the crowd. Everyone, I'll be leaving shortly, she said in a firm, clear voice. But you might all want to stick around. There's something Jason and his family have never known about this house. Jason's smile faltered. What are you talking about? Emily didn't answer. For the first time all afternoon, she had control of the room. The temperature shifted. The cocky laughter was gone. Eyes that once mocked her were now watching her with a mix of confusion and unease. 15 minutes later, the sound of tires crunching gravel broke the silence. A black SUV rolled into the driveway. Everyone turned. The driver stepped out in a tailored suit, holding a sleek folder in one hand. And that's when the foundation under Jason's world began to crack. The tension in the air was unbearable. Jason crossed his arms and tried to play it cool as the man in the suit stepped out of the black SUV. He was tall, confident, and clearly not someone who arrived empty-handed. He walked straight past Jason without so much as a glance and handed Emily a folder. She flipped through it quickly, then nodded. Thank you, Marcus, she said, her voice calm but commanding. Jason forced a laugh. Okay, so what is this? You brought your lawyer to make a scene? You're embarrassing yourself. Emily didn't respond to him. Instead, she turned to the guests, many of whom were now quietly gathering around, pretending not to eavesdrop while clearly hanging on to every word. I just want to clarify something for everyone here, she began. I was publicly kicked out of this house today. Humiliated, insulted, treated like a stranger. Jason rolled his eyes. Because you are. This is my home. Emily cut him off. No. It's not. Jason blinked. What? Emily held up the folder. This house, she said, raising her voice just enough to carry through the backyard, was purchased in full 2 years ago. Before you and I got married. I paid cash. No mortgage. No co-owner. And most importantly, she opened the folder and held up the deed. Only my name is on the title. For a moment, there was silence. Pure, stunned silence. Jason looked like someone had punched him in the chest. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His father stepped forward and took the document from Emily's lawyer, scanning it with trembling hands. She's not lying, he muttered, stunned. It's real. Deborah staggered back like the air had been knocked out of her. Wait, That can't be, Jason said. He said the down payment came from your joint account. Emily shook her head. We didn't even have a joint account when I bought this place. You see, while you were all busy judging me, mocking me, treating me like I didn't belong here, I was the one providing the roof over your heads. The crowd was still. Nobody laughed now. Jason stepped forward, his voice cracking. Why didn't you tell me? Emily finally turned to him, and her eyes, cold, unreadable, met his. Because I wanted to see who you really were when you thought I had nothing. The weight of that sentence hit harder than anything she had said all day. Jason's face flushed with shame. His mother looked like she was about to collapse. Emily looked around once more. I've been patient. I've been silent. I've let myself be disrespected by every single person here. But that ends now. She handed the folder back to Marcus and said, loud enough for the entire backyard to hear. Issue the formal eviction notice. 30 days. I want them all out. Jason's jaw dropped. You're evicting me? Emily tilted her head slightly. You told me to get out of your house. I'm just returning the favor, only legally. Somewhere in the crowd, a guest gasped audibly. Another whispered, Oh my God! For the first time in the entire relationship, Emily wasn't the one being pushed down. She wasn't being talked over, controlled, or dismissed. She had all the power, and the room knew it. Jason looked around, suddenly aware of all the eyes on him. The pride, the ego, the fake charm, gone. All that was left was a man who just realized he destroyed the one person who was holding his world together. The backyard felt different now. Moments ago, it had been filled with noise, laughter, music, judgment, insults. But now, just silence. Thick, uncomfortable, charged. The kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about someone. Emily stood still, calm and grounded, as the entire room began to realize what had just happened. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the woman who quietly built an empire while everyone doubted her, insulted her, and tried to tear her down. And now, with just one decision, she took back her dignity and rewrote the ending. Jason looked like a ghost, eyes unfocused, mouth slightly open, face pale. For a man who prided himself on being in control, this was the first time he had no comeback. No joke. No fake charm. He had been stripped of the illusion that he was the man of the house. His mother, Deborah, was staring at the grass like it might swallow her whole. For years she had looked down on Emily, convinced she wasn't good enough for her son. And now she realized, they were the ones who didn't measure up. Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't throw a single insult. And that's what made her victory so much more powerful. Because when you've been disrespected for so long, your silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. As Marcus, the attorney, walked back to the car, Emily slowly zipped up her bag. The same small duffel Jason had thrown at her feet like garbage now felt like a crown. She didn't look rushed. She didn't even look angry. She looked free. She turned once, facing the people who had ridiculed her, and spoke just loud enough for everyone to hear. You tried to break me because I didn't fight back the way you expected. You took my silence for submission, my kindness for weakness, my patience for ignorance. But I saw everything, and I remembered it all. Then she looked directly at Jason. You didn't lose me today because of one outburst. You lost me over years of disrespect you thought I wouldn't notice. Jason took a step forward, finally finding his voice. Emily, wait. Let's just talk. You blindsided me with this. I didn't know you were capable of all this. Emily gave him the smallest smile. That's the problem, Jason. You never wanted to know me. You only wanted to own me. With that, she turned and walked to the SUV. No drama. No need to look back. Her steps were slow, deliberate, like someone who wasn't running from her past, but finally walking into her future. As the car doors shut and the vehicle backed out of the driveway, the crowd remained frozen in place. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the guests who had laughed at her earlier were now looking at each other with wide, guilty eyes. Emily had done something most people never find the strength to do. She reclaimed her power without destroying herself in the process. From overlooked to unforgettable. From outsider to owner. And the most haunting part, she had been capable of it the entire time. What would you do if you were Emily? Comment your reaction below.